I ruined my son's wedding. My name is Eleanor Vance, and at 72, I am a widow who has just published a book about family recipes. But a year ago, my life wasn't about love and dignity. It was about humiliation, and I decided to teach my family a lesson they would never forget. For months, I poured my heart into that wedding. It was all I thought about. Julian had been a widower for years, and I just wanted to show him how happy I was for him. I offered to cook the whole buffet, and I had my own recipe book in mind. It would have cost me about $3,000. It wasn't just food. It was love. Serena seemed so sweet. She always called me Ms. Eleanor. I remember one time she said to Julian, "Ms. Eleanor is such a hard worker. She loves to be busy." I smiled at the time, but now it feels different. If you're out there and you've ever felt this way, please let me know. Share this so I can see where my story has reached. She seemed so perfect, like the daughter I never had. She was so polite, always brought flowers when she came over. Yellow roses, my favorite. Julian was so happy. It made me happy to see him so happy again after everything. I even pulled out the crystal glasses my late husband Arthur gave me. I'd been saving them. Serena looked at them and said they were so old-fashioned. I just wanted to give them something special. All this time, I thought we were building a family. I never thought she was faking it. It just felt so real. Then, one Tuesday, I was in my kitchen. I was making a shopping list for the food. I could hear them on the patio, Serena and her sister Rebecca. I wasn't really listening. Then, I heard my name. I stopped. They were laughing. "The old lady will be busy," I heard Rebecca say. Serena giggled and said she'd be a free professional nanny for all the kids. My heart stopped. It was like I was just a tool to them. The sound of their laughter was cold. It felt like a slap in the face. All my love and work, it meant nothing. I just stood there. I couldn't move. I just stood there in the middle of my kitchen, a list of groceries in my hand. My heart was pounding. All I could hear was their cold laughter and the words, "useful tool." My mind flashed to a memory of my late husband, Arthur. He would never have let anyone treat me this way. I remember the weight of his wedding ring on my finger, a reminder of a different kind of love, the one I deserved. The flowers Serena brought, those yellow roses, they felt like a lie. All that happiness just shattered. I felt so humiliated, so much pain. My love felt so cheap. I spent the next few days just pretending. I smiled at Julian, I was nice to Serena, but inside, I was burning. Every time I looked at her, I felt rage. All that time I spent planning, all that money, for what? To be a free nanny? I thought about the wedding dress, the flowers, the cake. It all felt fake now. The crystal glasses, they didn't just dislike them, they disliked me. I knew I couldn't let this go. I had to do something that would show them I wasn't just some old woman they could use. My dignity was worth more than their wedding. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I called Beatrice, my best friend. I just told her everything, and she listened. She was furious for me. "Eleanor, you can't let them get away with this," she said. I didn't even have to ask. She told me she was in. Right then and there, a plan started to form in my mind. It wasn't about being mean. It was about teaching a lesson. I had my friend and my purpose. I wasn't alone anymore. We were a team. I felt my power coming back. The day before the wedding, I got to work. I wasn't angry anymore. I was calm. I called the caterer. I just said, "I'm sorry, I have to cancel the order." The woman sounded confused, but I just hung up. Then I called the florist and did the same thing. I knew what I was doing. I knew it would mess up everything, but there was no turning back. My heart was so cold. It was the only way to get back my dignity. It was the only way to show them I wasn't just a useful tool. On Friday, the day before the wedding, I packed a bag. I sat down and wrote a letter to Julian. My hands didn't shake. I told him I canceled the food and the flowers. I explained that I found out about my real job for the wedding, the one where I'd be a free nanny. I told them not to expect me. It was hard to write it, but I needed to be clear. I wanted to use my voice. I wanted to be heard. I sealed the letter and left it on the kitchen counter. I walked out the door and I didn't look back. The next morning, I was with Beatrice. We got in her car and just drove. We didn't talk much. We just listened to the radio. Instead of getting dressed up for a wedding, we were going to a luxury spa 2 hours away. I was using the $3,000 I'd saved for the buffet to get massages and facials. The plan was to just be a person, not a servant. It was about me now. It felt good to spend that money on myself. It felt like I was finally saying yes to me. As soon as we got there, my phone started going crazy. It wouldn't stop ringing. Julian, then Serena, over and over. I could see the messages coming in. They were desperate. The phone was buzzing like crazy on the table. It was a symphony of their panic. I just looked at it for a minute. Then I just turned it off. It was so quiet. It was the most peaceful sound I'd ever heard. I had all this time and money to just be me. They could handle the wedding mess on their own. I was finally getting a massage. The woman asked if the pressure was okay. I told her it was perfect. I could just hear the sound of a little waterfall in the room. I thought about the chaos I knew was happening at the wedding. Kids running around, parents yelling, no food. I just lay there and took my time. The silence in that room felt so good. It was my protest. It was the opposite of the cold laughter I had heard just a few days ago. The quiet was sweet. It was all mine. After a few hours, I turned my phone back on. It lit up with so many missed calls and texts. I saw Julian's name pop up. I called him. His voice was full of panic. He asked where I was. I calmly told him I was at a spa. He couldn't believe it. I reminded him that labor is paid. He started to get upset, but I just kept my voice calm. It felt good to be the one in control. For the first time in a while, I wasn't just Ms. Eleanor, the helpful old lady. Then Serena got on the phone. Her sweet voice was gone. It was all fury. She was so angry I could hear it. She demanded to know why I would do this. I stayed calm. I just told her I heard them on the patio. I told her I heard them laughing and talking about me. There was a long silence on the phone. It was the most beautiful silence I've ever heard. It was my victory. She didn't say Ms. Eleanor anymore. She didn't say anything at all. I knew she was caught. I could hear the background on the phone. It wasn't the sound of music and a happy wedding. It was pure chaos. I could hear kids running and yelling. Parents were shouting. The sounds of a party falling apart. I knew all those kids were running wild. There was no food, no one to watch them. I heard Serena let out a little sob. All I could think about was the quiet of the spa, the sound of the waterfall. I just smiled. This was my moment. I told them to hire a professional and hung up. The next few days were a blur. My phone kept ringing. All my relatives were calling. My sister-in-law, Nora, called me. I thought she was going to be mad at me, but she wasn't. She told me Julian and Serena were the ones everyone was talking about. She said I was right to do what I did. It was a relief to hear that. I knew I wasn't just being selfish. I wasn't alone. I had a right to be respected. My actions had been justified. I was sitting in my favorite chair, thinking about it all. It wasn't really about revenge. It was about respect. It's funny how a person can feel so worthless and so powerful at the same time. I had to teach them. I had to show them that my love wasn't a tool they could use for free. My late husband, Arthur, always treated me with dignity. He taught me what love really was. And I had to teach my son what it was too. I had to remind him that I am a woman who deserves to be treated with dignity. A few days later, Julian came to the house. He was alone. I could see the shame on his face. He looked so tired. He just sat there and said he was so sorry. He said he had treated me more like an employee than a mother. I just listened. He said he finally understood. I could hear the pain in his voice. It was a humbling moment for him. It was the first time in a long time that he really saw me, not just what I could do for him. I looked at him and my heart hurt. I still love my son, but I had to be strong. I told him that I loved him, but I also told him that words weren't enough. I told him that forgiveness would have to be earned. I said it would take time and real action, not just a simple, "I'm sorry." I had to set a new rule for us, a boundary. I needed him to know that our relationship had changed forever, and it was up to him to make it right. A few days after Julian left, Serena came to my house. I was surprised. She looked so different. She wasn't angry or entitled anymore. Her eyes were red. She told me she had lost her own mother when she was young. She said she was afraid of old age and had pushed away older women as a way of protecting herself. She started to cry. It was hard to see. She apologized for everything. It was a real, vulnerable apology. It wasn't about the wedding. It was about something much deeper. I just looked at her. I told her I understood. She asked me for a chance to start over. I gave it to her. I told her that this was her one chance. I told her that she would have to prove it to me, not with words, but with her actions. I told her that trust isn't something you can just get back. It has to be earned over time. I could see the hope in her eyes. I knew she was being honest. I decided to believe her. But I wasn't going to make it easy for her. Over the next few weeks, I began to see a real change. Julian didn't just call and assume I was free. He would ask. Serena would call just to talk, not to ask for anything. She'd ask me how my day was. They started to visit for dinner, and it wasn't a chore. The visits felt genuine, like we were all building a new family. I'd sit there and just listen to them. It was a new feeling for me. It was so much better than the fake happiness from before. It was real. Then one day, Julian called me. I remember my heart sinking a little. I thought maybe he was going to ask for something again. But he asked me to help him with a surprise birthday party for Serena. He didn't just tell me what to do. He asked me politely. He offered to pay me for my time. He even told me it was okay to say no. I was shocked. It was the first real test of my trust. He had really listened to me. He really understood. I didn't even have to think about it. I told him I would be so happy to help. It wasn't really about the money. It was his voice. He wasn't just telling me what to do anymore. He was asking. It was a new sound for me, a real, honest request. The memory of my late husband, Arthur, and the dignity he always showed me came to mind. Julian was finally showing me that same respect. My heart felt warm. This was the start of something real, a new kind of love. It felt so good to say yes on my own terms. When I got to the party, I felt a little nervous, but Julian and Serena were so proud to introduce me. They told everyone I had helped plan the whole thing. They gave me all the credit. But the best part was when they sat me down. They didn't put me with the kids or in a side room. They put me right at the main table. As a guest, it was a powerful feeling. I wasn't just there to work. I was family. It was all I ever wanted. After the party, something new happened with Serena. She would call me and we'd just talk. She started to tell me about her life. She told me about her mother and how she passed away. She told me she was in therapy and learning to deal with things. It wasn't about my cooking or what I could do for them anymore. She was sharing her heart with me. I was learning about her as a person, not just my son's wife. We were finally building a real relationship. It felt so good to just listen and be there. One day, we were just talking, and Serena asked me what my dreams were. I told her about my lifelong dream of writing a book of my family's recipes. I had been collecting them for years, but I never thought I would do it. She told me I should. She said I was a natural storyteller with my food. It was so unexpected. This wasn't about the wedding or getting free labor. It was about her wanting me to be happy. It felt like a new kind of love. It felt so good to hear her say that. I started working on my book. It took a long time. I was so careful with every word. A year later, it happened. My book was published. The title was Cooking with Love, Serving with Dignity. Holding it in my hands felt so good. It wasn't just a book of recipes. It was proof of my journey. It showed that I had found my dignity again. It showed that my love was worth something, and it was a promise that I would never let anyone treat me like a tool again. Just a few months after my book came out, Julian and Serena came to my house. They were so excited. They told me they were pregnant. I was so happy for them. But what they said next meant even more. They told me that I could choose my level of involvement as a grandmother. They said they would not assume or expect anything from me. It wasn't about the baby. It was a promise. It was the ultimate act of respect. It was the best way they could show me that they understood the lesson I had to teach. That night, I was signing copies of my book. My hands didn't shake. I felt so calm and proud. I thought about the wedding and the chaos. It felt like a lifetime ago. I realized that my decision to say no was the most powerful thing I could have done. By saying no to them, I was saying yes to myself, yes to my dignity, yes to my worth. I was finally living a life that honored my own feelings. It was the only way to be truly happy. Now, months later, I sit here with my family. Julian and Serena are so happy, getting ready for the baby. I just look at them and smile. The lesson I taught them wasn't about punishment. It was about love. True love isn't just about giving everything away. It's about mutual respect. I had to say no to them so they could learn how to truly say yes to me. We are all better for it. My heart is full. We are a family, finally. When I started that book, it was just a hobby, a simple book of family recipes I'd cooked my whole life. But then it became something more. After the wedding, it became a way for me to find my dignity again. It became a way to tell my story without words. The book shows that it wasn't just about cooking with love. It was about serving with dignity. It's the proof that I stood up for myself. It's the real story of our family. I sat at my kitchen table, signing the last book. It was quiet. The pen felt so light in my hand. I thought about all the love I had poured into my family over the years. I realized that the true recipe for a happy life isn't just about cooking with love. It's about serving with dignity. I had to learn that the hard way. My late husband, Arthur, taught me about dignity just by being with me. Now, the book is a reminder for my family and for me that dignity is the final ingredient. I think about the baby all the time. This new beginning is so different from the one I had planned for the wedding. That one was all fake happiness and being used. This new one is real. It's a chance to be a grandmother on my own terms, a chance I earned. They didn't just give it to me. I had to stand up for myself to get here. It feels like a beautiful reward. I know this baby will grow up in a family that knows about true love and respect. My heart is so full of hope. It's funny to think back to those first few days after the wedding. My phone was still going crazy. I'd get texts from relatives I hadn't talked to in years. One of them was from my cousin, asking, "What in the world happened?" It was just a simple text, but it said so much. It confirmed that the chaos was real and that everyone knew what had happened. It proved that my actions had an impact. I wasn't just some crazy old lady. I had a voice, and people heard it. Just last week, Julian and Serena came over. They had a gift for me. It was a framed photo. It was a picture of me and Beatrice at the spa, sitting by the waterfall. We were laughing. I don't know who took it. They just gave it to me and smiled. No words were needed. The picture was their way of saying they understood. It was their apology. It was the moment I knew for sure that we were a family built on real respect. That picture is my most favorite thing in the world.